Welcome to the Intermittent Fasting for the Win podcast. I'm Michael Saunders, and I've been a faster for over a year. I've lost over 80 pounds and regained my health with good markers like normal blood pressure and A1C. My co-host on most occasions is Jolene Wigan, who's been fasting for several years now and maintains a healthy weight with ease. This podcast will cover a broad range of topics about intermittent fasting, and you can search the archives here on Spotify for previous episodes. Both of us adhere to the clean fast, and we highly suggest that you do too. Be sure to check out our groups on Facebook, Intermittent Fasting for the Win and Clean Fasting Jolene. Today, I'm flying solo with a short podcast on how slow and steady wins the race. I hope that you find some useful information here. Let's get started. Did you know a pound of body fat contains about 3,500 calories? If your body were to rely solely on that fat for energy, how many calories it provides per day depends on many factors. For example, if your calorie requirement was 2,000 calories, which is a rough average for most adults, a pound of fat could theoretically sustain you for roughly 42 hours. But if you're in a survival scenario with minimal activity, let's say 1,000 calories a day, that pound of fat could last up to 3.5 days, providing that you were just sitting around waiting on someone to show up and rescue you. In practice, your body doesn't burn pure fat alone. It mixes fat with some protein and glycogen, and metabolic rates shift back and forth based on activity, starvation, diet, any number of things. But as a ballpark, a pound of fat can provide 1,000 to 2,000 calories per day, depending on your energy expenditure. So what's your daily burn? Let's refine it even further. Fasting and fat burning are not a perfectly controllable science experiment. Let's look into the reality of 3 crucial points. The first one is where the fat burns. You cannot spot reduce fat, no matter how much you fast or wish. Genetics largely dictate which fat comes off first. Some people lose it from their face and arms quickly, while others will see stubborn belly or thigh fat just linger. During fasting, hormones kickstart lipolysis across all the fat stores, but your body decides the priority and where that fat's going to be burnt first. Visceral fat, which is the fat around your organs, often burns off faster than subcutaneous fat. That's the pesky fat just under the skin. Because the visceral fat is more metabolically active. But there's no steering wheel for this. It's a systematic process. And how much fat you burn without losing muscle. This is the second and most important part. This is tricky. Fat loss during fasting depends on your energy deficit. Depends on you burning more than you store and your body's efficiency at using fat over protein. Early on in a fast, let's say 12 to 20 hours, you're mostly burning glycogen and fat. Beyond that, after the glycogen is used up, ketosis ramps up, sparing muscle by using ketones for energy. But if the fast drags on too long or you're not really fat adapted, protein breakdown from your muscles can creep in, making glucose for tissues that can't use ketones, like red blood cells. Studies suggest that you can burn about a half to a pound of pure fat per day, depending on your size and activity. But push it too hard without enough calories or resistance exercise, and muscle loss becomes a real risk. People with higher body fat tend to preserve muscle better during fasting than leaner folks. This is another reason why you just don't rush into ADF or extended fasting without first working your way up. This is where I caution people to make sure that they become fat adapted. And the way to do that is to start small and work your way up. Number 3, how fast you can burn fat. This isn't some kind of a dial that you can just crank up at will. Fat burning maxes out based on your metabolism, your fat stores, and activity level. A rough estimate for pure fat oxidation is 30 to 35 calories per pound of body fat per day. So let's say a 200-pound person with 20% body fat, that would be 40 pounds of total fat, might burn about 1,240 calories from fat daily if they were fully fasted. But still, that's theoretical. In reality, your basal metabolic rate, hormones like cortisol or thyroid, and even sleep or stress can mess with that pace. Overdo fasting, and your metabolism might even slow down to conserve energy, stalling your fat loss. Exercise can nudge it along, but there's still a ceiling. Your body won't empty the tank faster than it is wired to. The real kicker, everyone's different. One person might drop fat smoothly on a 16-hour fast, while another one stalls or feels wrecked. It's less about control and more about working with what your body's willing to give up. Don't fall into the trap of comparing yourself to anyone else. You are you, and you need to work with what you have. Long fasts, let's think 24 hours to several days. They can act like a hard reset for your metabolism, but leaning on them for weight loss is not a good strategy. I'll repeat that. Leaning on longer fasts for weight loss is not a good strategy. Here's why they're useful for a metabolic reboot and why they fall short as a fat shedding fix. It's called the metabolic reset angle. Extended fasting gives your system a break from constant digestion and insulin spikes. Normally, eating will keep your insulin up, signaling your body to store energy and burn glucose. When you fast for, say, 24 to 48 hours, your insulin plummets, glycogen tanks out, and you shift into ketosis, burning fat and producing ketones. This flip of the switch can wake up your metabolic flexibility, your body's ability to switch between carbs and fat for fuel. Over time, if you're stuck in a carb-heavy snack all-day rut, that flexibility dulls and fasting can jolt it back. Autophagy also kicks in after about 16 to 24 hours. Your cells start cleaning house, recycling junk proteins and damaged bits, which might improve insulin sensitivity, and energy efficiency long term. Studies on alternate day fasting or 3-day water fasts show boosts in markers like blood sugar control and reduced inflammation, hinting at a reset effect. It's like rebooting a sluggish computer. Things just run smoother after. But let's get back to why you should not long fast or extended fast for weight loss. The catch is, sure, you'll burn fat during the long fast, maybe a half a pound to a pound over a couple of days if you're lucky. But once you eat again, your body is primed to replenish glycogen and water, and some weight bounces back fast. If you're chasing scale numbers, it can become a roller coaster. Worse, prolonged fasts can tank your metabolism if they're overdone. After 48 to 72 hours, your body might downshift energy use, dropping your thyroid hormone output and slowing basal metabolic rate to conserve resources. Research on starvation shows that this adaptive response can linger even after the fast, making fat loss harder later. Plus, muscle loss creeps in if protein isn't spared, and that's a disaster for keeping metabolism humming. Compare that to a steady calorie deficit through diet or shorter fasts, like a 18-6 or a 24. You'll lose more fat predictably without that metabolic yo-yo. Weight loss needs consistency, not heroics. I have to repeat that again. Weight loss needs consistency, not heroics. A 3-day fast might make you feel bad to the bone, and it might reset your system, but it will never be a substitute for good habits that keep fat off. People who use long fasts as a quick fix often overeat post-fast. Hunger hormones like ghrelin go haywire, or they just lose willpower, and then they've negated all the effort. It's better to use a long fast as a periodic tune-up to sharpen metabolic health and not as your go-to for slimming down. Slow and steady wins the race when it comes to weight loss with fasting. Sure, it's less flashy than long fasts, but it's practical and it sticks better. Here's how it works and why it's a solid play. Fasting doesn't have to mean starving for days. Short, manageable windows like an 18-6 or a 24 fit into real life without turning your metabolism into some kind of a drama queen. The goal is a consistent calorie deficit, not a sprint to burn fat overnight. During an 18-hour fast, you tap into glycogen for 8 to 12 hours, and then you start pulling from fat stores as ketosis ramps up. You're not torching away the pounds daily. You might burn 100 to 300 calories of fat depending on your size or activity, but over weeks, it really adds up. And studies show that a half pound to a pound of weight loss per week is typical and safe. And it's mostly fat if you keep protein and exercise in the mix. Now that's sustainable and not shocking to the system. The slow part keeps your body from freaking out. Long fasts can spike cortisol, slow thyroid function, or eat into muscle, sabotaging your metabolism. Shorter fasts sidestep that. Your basic metabolic rate hums along, and you're less likely to binge when the eating window hits because hunger stays manageable. Pair that with decent food, protein, veggies, a little bit of carbs, And you're not just shrinking fat, but you're holding on to the muscle, which keeps calorie burn steady. Resistance training a couple of times a week really seals the deal. Your muscles are furnace, even at rest. Here's the reality check. It's not sexy. You won't drop 10 pounds in a week. Look for 1 pound of fat gone every 7 days when everything's working right. Real fat, not water or glycogen tricks. Over 3 months, that's 12 to 15 pounds. Over a year, that's 50 pounds. And your body's still cooperating, not fighting back with cravings or fatigue. Data backs this up. Pure calorie restriction will cause you to lose weight. But people who fast often find fasting easier to stick with than diet. It's less about willpower and more about rhythm. And let me tell you what, your body loves rhythm. The trick, consistency. Pick a fasting style you can live with, one that's easy for you to do. Be consistent, sit back and watch as your body responds to it. I hope this information helped you today, and we'll see you next time here on Intermittent Fasting for the Win podcast.